Like, you're just pretty and that's why you do what you do.
Yes, yeah.
Play what you want to play. The coolest way is just make your own fucking genre. Like, I will sometimes have the best set of my life and I'll come home and I'll be like, oh, that was terrible. There's nothing better than proving someone wrong in a good way. Like, when I'm playing 5 nights a week, no fucking way. Like, so it's just like, I don't think she's like replying. At a point where I would just, all I want to do is make people dance. This guy just like reaches his fucking hand. What the yeah, I've had situations like that.
Long time no see. I don't remember when the last time we recorded the podcast, but today is such a wonderful reason to record one more episode with a wonderful girl. She came right away from Las Vegas. Like, she came a few hours ago. Zuzy! Hi! Thank you so much for coming. Honestly, I appreciate it. So we're still looking for sponsors, and I would love to offer her a flight from Las Vegas, but everything that we're doing from our pockets. And I appreciate that you agreed to come here to LA through all the traffic and everything.
Of course. Thankfully, it's not that bad of a drive. It's actually quite
so your
reminiscent, you know?
Your drive was good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It's always a good time to listen to music, you know?
I'm very happy that I have such a beautiful DJ, but also she's a very talented producer and everything. Honestly, I didn't have anyone in my podcast who is a resident of Las Vegas Club. And for me, it's a completely different world because my lifestyle and your lifestyle, it's two different things, right?
Yeah.
And I would love to talk, I think today, about like, what is it to be a producer and DJ who lives in Las Vegas?
I think if you think of like the idea of residency, mine's a little different because it's totally full-time. Like, I moved to Vegas to do this residency. I play 5 nights a week. And I think, in most scenarios, all a residency really means is like you're playing X amount of shows a month. So I think for me, it was, as a producer coming from New York, where I would have so much spontaneity in my life and everything was just like, you didn't know what's going to happen next week, to suddenly go to, exactly what you're doing the exact same thing week on week, 5 days a week, 7 days a week.
It's insane that you are playing 5 days in a week. For me, it's kind of like an office work. You have the same team around you, you have the same club, you have the same people. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a routine. Is it more brings you like that you're grounded and you know what will be tomorrow? Is it boring or not for you to have the same?
I think it's definitely gotten a little more boring. I grew up moving around a lot, and I think I'm used to that kind of... I don't like staying in one place for a long time. I think also the older I get, the more I realize, like, you really need to find that balance between, like, just personal life and business life. But I think, as a female in this industry, it doesn't really always go the way you want it to go. And there's a lot of shit you have to do that, you might not like, and there's a lot of sacrifices that came with me moving to Vegas, but I think it was one of those things where an opportunity was handed and you're like, you have to take it. Like, you have to take it. I'm at a point where I definitely am a little bored of playing the exact same thing. I mean, who wouldn't? But, it is different. I think it's a different skill set because this is a theater meets a nightclub. And I think working with, really, really like big pop stars and their teams and their expectations, and also being that person that, people come in at like 8:30 p.m. and I'm playing all the way until like 2-3 in the morning with obviously on and off. But my job is to create that vibe and like really, you can't just like start off with a bang. Set when you're about to play for 3 hours or more. So I think it's been a interesting challenge to kind of experiment. I think it was also a totally new genre. Like when I first started, when I joined, they were like, this is disco, right?
Yes. if we go back to this Zuzy when she was like 10 years old, something like that, what she was dreaming about, like to work with a superstar, to work with a Kylie Minogue at the same club. What was the dream?
Always, yeah. I mean, I don't know if like exactly that person, but like always, I think in my family was always like, oh yeah, she's gonna be famous. Like I was always that like, the strange kid. When I was 10, that's actually when I first started DJing. That was like super random. It was just because Avicii just dropped Levels. And like at that point, everybody was listening, and I was like deep into that world. And I remember I was like, I need this like little Newmark controller that just came out at that point.
And parents bought you a controller?
Yeah, I still have it. It's like in their basement in our home. It's like a tiny little, it's just 2 decks.
Yeah.
Very simple, very, very easy to use. But I would just sit in the basement for like 5 hours at a time and just play around and see what works, what doesn't.
And your first artist that you like falling in love with was Avicii.
Oh, yeah.
From the electronic music.
Yeah, big time. When I used to live in China, I would go out a lot, and I was only like 12 or 13. But people there were so easy to be a foreigner, especially if you were blonde. You just kind of stood out, and people wanted you to be a part of that culture. I think it just wasn't as, I think, now it's probably a lot more common to see. Back then it wasn't. And so I would always just sneak out, and it was only because I wanted to go see these DJs play, and I wanted to like have that table and bring the people in and enjoy. Like, it wasn't really about the drinking or the drugs or anything like that. It was just, how the hell do I get all my friends in this one place and enjoy this music without being caught by my parents?
Who's your parents? Is like they're strict, or they're like gave you freedom to do whatever you want? Because sometimes when I was growing up, my parents wanted me to be a dentist, like a doctor, because my cousin was a dentist. I'm like, oh, you can grow
up.
That's
like classic Eastern European.
Yeah, but you have to have like a normal job, not like working in the theater or you're like dancing on the stage, because it's not like serious, you know, like that to be a successful artist, just like it's kind of hard. So that's why I'm asking you, like, did your parents like support you with your decision to be a musician?
Big time. My mom was a dancer. And they were always so supportive. I think I was really lucky because I watched my parents, just start off like an average middle class family in Poland to slowly start to grow, and my dad becoming a legacy in his own company, and my mom supporting that, but also running her own business and, doing all of that while moving every 2 years. And so starting over. And I think a lot of, I think it'd be easy to lose yourself in that and kind of not, and both for my parents too. I mean, I think the older you get, you also realize like adults are just teenagers that are a little older and still also trying to figure out life. And they've been so supportive. I mean, they always just thought, if you can do it on your own and you have the passion, you have that just like raw drive, then why would you want to take that away? I mean, I've had a lot of friends from high school who, would also want to study music, and their parents wouldn't let them. And to me, it was just, I don't understand how you can take away that kind of passion from a kid. But thankfully, my parents were very, very supportive. And, sometimes we had some family lunches when I would like say I'm going to Vegas, for example, and my grandparents would just be like, to do what? What exactly? And you try and explain it. And I think some people are set in their own ways and sometimes can't understand it. But
I think my family still cannot like realize what I'm doing. My mom just came to visit me from the whole family, and I brought her a few times to my shows. But last time when she came, she's like, can I just stay at home and sleep with my mom? Of course, because I'm like, what are you gonna do? Like, it's not like super fun for like 50 years old woman to like dancing and drinking cocktails. But I'm like, yeah, mom, of course. But she just like trusts me with my decision, what I'm doing right now, and just like, are you enjoying? Like, do you have money for living? Like,
I think that's the most important. Like, if your kid is happy and you're doing what you love. But I think it is natural for most people to have like a stigma towards, the idea of studying music or art or theater or anything creative that a lot of people tend to not support. I think it's stupid. I think it's absolutely fine.
I want to talk about your style. I really like this futuristic disco, like this this sound and everything. Like, how long it took like to find the music that you want to play, the music that you want to produce? Like, how many years? Or
a long time. I feel like I still am. I think when I first was in New York, New York has such a particular scene.
Yes.
And especially when when you're starting, when you get like direct support slots or just support slots, like your job is not, it's not about you. Your job is to prepare for the person before, after you, right? And sometimes you'd have other DJs open for you where you're like, why are you before me? This makes no sense. I'm way better. Or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of like adaptability in New York was really exciting, but also kind of, you were fluctuating so much. You were like, what do I actually like? What do I actually want to play? What kind of music do I want to make? I think I've been making music for a really long time, but I never really realized what I want my sound is. And I think there's so much pressure to be like, you need to have a sound and you need to have like, bang out records like this. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not that kind of, I don't make music like that. I make music when I feel inspired and when I want to make music. I think ever since I started Vegas, because that was such a world of, disco, which I wasn't even, I was familiar with and I studied it, but a whole other thing playing it. I mean, working with records that have live drums is so insanely difficult to mix.
Yeah.
Because you can't rely on a grid, you can't rely on anything besides your ear. And so I think learning how to, you know, diving deep into those records, diving deep into that genre suddenly inspired me to make completely different kind of music and like look into how arrangements are made and how much a saxophone can change an entire track.
Yes.
Or how much a bass can change an entire track. But I think to just answer your question, I honestly for so long I feel like all I prioritized was like shows. I need to play shows. I need to get that sports law.
To be more focused on the shows than on your releases.
Exactly. Whereas now, maybe just because I'm playing so often, I'm at a point where like I just want to lock myself in a house and bring my closest friends, engineers, producers, writers, anyone I know, and just make music. Make music every day.
So right now you have a plan how you see your future as an artist. Do you have like the what do you have to do?
Somewhat. Yeah, somewhat.
Do you think is it important for the artist to have this like plan, or just like go with the flow? Because I felt like when I didn't right now I have a plan kind of, but I thought when I didn't have a plan, it was hard for me like to realize where to go, what to do, what the next step. We're just like a little bit in the chaos.
Yeah.
But when I realized that I like this style of music, it's my vibe, I know who is my crowd, I know which labels do I like, it brings me more freedom to understand like where I'm going, what do I want from my life as an artist.
100%.
So do you have like these like steps, what to do and the vision, like a mood board where you want to go as an artist?
I definitely have a vision. I think if anything, having like a really like, you know, light out plan is kind of setting yourself up for a little bit of failure because you're just locking yourself off from anything that might happen, any kind of spontaneity in your life or anything that, you know, like this thing in Vegas, like I never predicted I would do it, nor was it ever even on my like mood board. I mean, maybe one day, but I'm only 24 and I'm big. Like,
you're 24. Oh
yeah.
my god, the whole life is like because I'm almost.
Do you think
30.
I'm older? People think I'm older.
No, because I'm almost 30, and that's why I'm just like
hiding
under my bed.
Honestly, age does not.
I know. I agree. The one more like wonderful thing about the DJing that there is no age, which is I like. For example, like in sport or model or somewhere like acting. In the DJing, I think as older you is better because you have more experience and everything. And when I see like Nicole Moldaver or I don't know like Carl Cox, they're like
legends.
Yeah, legends.
You become more valuable, I think, because I mean think about it. The older you get, the more you play, the bigger your library is, the better you are, the more music you make.
The bigger
it's
audience,
more value to you and your brand and yourself as a person, as an artist, rather than nothing really wears out. I think the only thing probably is just like your energy levels and like how much you can play. And
also like I feel your energy, like you're more mature than you 24. You said I feel that you're more like smarter than 24 years old.
I feel like moving and then boarding school will do that to you.
And also because you're Eastern European. Right?
That too. Eastern European women have, you know what I mean? Like everything you hear, like I feel like so many stereotypes you hear about Eastern European women are just so true. Like we are hardcore women that will not give up on shit. And also like tell the short story how you came here, like your visa and your situation from where you came. Here in Vegas or to the US?
To US, yeah.
To US. Well, I was in boarding school at the time in Switzerland. That's where I really started to do music. And I had my first mentor there. And then when it was time to decide where to go to college, I was just old school. I was like, that's it. I either go here or
what did you graduate in your college?
Recorded music. And so I moved to New York City and I went to NYU, which was amazing. I cannot speak more highly of it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stigma around an education in music. And I in no way think it's necessary, but I do think that if you choose the right school and if you choose the right environment in the city, you can really benefit from it. Because I think the biggest thing for me was just being surrounded by like-minded people, people that wanted to do the same thing. I think a little competition is healthy too. But so I moved to New York and I actually joined as a producer, as a vocalist. And then within a year of me arriving, I got sick. I got vocal nodules in my cords.
Oh my god.
And I think it was partially due to like just health issues, but the other was just like New York is so loud.
Yeah.
You don't really realize when you go to restaurants, you go to clubs, like
always
you
like
realize how much you're really using your voice. And I think it just like depleted my ability. And so I had to have surgery. I literally went to class for like 3 months with like a whiteboard.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So what the surgery was, what did
To remove vocal nodules. Or like little nodules that build up on your cords. And that prevents you from singing, prevents you from speaking, you have to get them removed. And so after that, I was a little confused because, what do you do when you're like primary way of communicating musically and something you thought was really, I never wanted to be a singer, but it was my main like anchor to music. It was my main way to communicate and to kind of connect with it. And so when you suddenly lose that, I think it was, it was a tough period. And also at that time, being surrounded by everyone that kind of felt like they knew everything they wanted to do and they knew what they wanted to, be music, and they were so determined. And so I had a phase of like, what do I do? Like, I don't really know whether do I stick to music? Do I stick to something else? And so I really dove into production and business. And so my 4 years in college was just like up and down of just a bunch of trying out different things, working with
what did you help you to go out from this depression to
COVID? I had a great experience in COVID. I had a really, really, this kind of sounds crazy, but I was really lucky to be with my family, and my parents were living in Mexico at the time. Mexico City wasn't necessarily really safe. So, and we knew we were just going to be locked there in an apartment. So, some of my parents' friends were like, you should come to Acapulco. And my parents were like, Acapulco? It's like the most dangerous city in the world. What? And so we ended up going and fell in love. It was like a little community with a lot of kids our age, a lot of friends. And it was on the beach. And I thrive by the water. I thrive by the ocean, in the ocean.
And you live in Vegas right now, which is
terrible. It's so, I literally, as soon as I got out of the car here, I was like, this is so humid. So humid, because Vegas is dry.
I know.
So dry, like unhealthily dry. But yeah, so COVID for me was a time to be free. And I started a fashion brand, then I just started like working with other artists, and then I started randomly producing. Because for this fashion brand, I wanted to like make campaigns that are creative. Yeah. And the only way I could really know how to do it was like frame them in a music video. And so I would like, okay, but what music do I use? Because I kind of need a license.
It's so cool. Yeah, so you started creating.
So I just started making music for that. And then I started remixing certain songs. And then I'm like, okay, I'm like this like weird reminiscent feeling of back when I used to listen to EDM and when I was such a part of that culture, then it just all came back. And then September of 2021, so right after, school got back, life kind of got back to normal, a friend of mine was like, hey, I remember you used to DJ. I have a 6-hour gig for you. Do you want it? And I was like,
and this is the day when you realize that the DJing, that you're...
Oh, yeah. I found out a month before I had to play. I remember going to Guitar Center with my older sister in White Plains, upstate New York. And we just like picked out some random Pioneer DJ 240, whatever it was. And I just been practicing. And then I show up to this little bar, and it was 6 hours, and like as soon as my fingers like left the decks, it's like,
done. You were DJing from 10 years old technically, so it was inside of you. I think it's in your blood.
Yeah, I think it's strange how life works, where there's just like something that you did, so many years ago.
Alexia, can you come for a second? It's a little advertisement.
It never happens.
Let's do it.
I'm so honored.
No.
I want your
So I wanna say that I really appreciate that my friend. So if you remember, I broke up with my boyfriend and I don't have any house anymore. I don't have any place to film. And my friend Alexi, he owns this Hey Strauss company. Can you tell a few words about your company?
That's the best straws in the world. Never gets soggy. Paper straw sucks.
Honestly, that's actually really true.
So it's very good for environment, for the nature. It doesn't. Yes.
Yeah, you can eat it.
You can eat it. So I'm really happy that
we also support turtles.
Turtles.
Yeah, all over the world. We're actually the official partner of one of the non-profit organizations that support turtles, and yeah, we're doing a lot of good things. Plus, we sell drinking straws to thousands of restaurants across the world. In US, Canada, Mexico, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, everywhere basically. Yeah.
We appreciate you that you host us with Zuzy, and if you find these straws, this is a good brand. We did a little bit break to change our batteries because me not a very responsible person to bring all the good batteries to the shoot, but we have the best friends and support. They already fixed everything, and we continue our podcast with Zuzy. Honestly, I wanna talk. We just like talk a little bit about alcohol things right now. Like it's a nightlife industry. Of course, everyone is drinking and doing other things and stuff like that. So I just tell the story. I was nervous. I play for Open for Solomon, and I was nervous a little bit, if I can say it like that. And I decided to take a few shots just to like relax myself, to relieve, because of the sun, because of the San Francisco wind and everything. I didn't sleep enough because like I just like laying in my bed and all my thoughts in my head, and I decided like I was tired. I was super tired, and I think all these things came together, and in the middle of my set I realized that I cannot move. I'm like tired because I was jumping like I was a clown. I'm like trying to impress people. That's the interesting thing also about this gig, because I felt that I'm the opener for Solomon. I felt that the people didn't get to me. They're like still waiting for him, and I'm like, okay,
always
guys,
like that though.
guys, you can waiting, but let's dance. And I'm just like trying to.
People did
make
dance
some,
though. I mean, from what I saw, they looked like they were having a great
just some
time.
introduction, and like and people continue bringing me some shots, drinks, and I'm like, guys,
It's so easy to notice the people that don't dance.
just stop doing it, because I cannot. I don't have any energy to drink or dance or play. How are you dealing with alcohol and drinks? Like, do you make any like?
I definitely used to drink more when I was in New York. I think again it was just like more of a culture, same thing. Like I think it helps with nerves sometimes. I think again back to the fact that we're Eastern European, it's in our blood a little bit. I mean, I showed up here with beer, and so
I love
there's
it.
that part.
I love it.
But no, I mean, look, when I'm playing 5 nights a week, no fucking way. Like sometimes I'll have a drink, but you know, when I like one of my first weeks when I first arrived in Vegas, I went to the F1 and I happened to meet Steve Aoki, and lovely dude invited me out to his show, and so I come, and I mean, you've seen him play, like the amount of energy, just like the amount of shows. First of all, I mean, he plays like 260 50 shows a year, nuts. And this guy's stone cold sober, and for me, I think that was like the first time where I saw someone that big not even touch a drink. I mean, I've definitely seen it before, but you know, I don't know what usually everyone drinks, but like you tend to in New York see a lot more of, you know, just like pouring shots or having the bottle service, whatever it is. He didn't at all, and I actually asked him, and he was just like, you just can't, it's so not sustainable. And I think it's so easy to fall into a rhythm where you're playing and you feel like you need to do it because it is part of that culture. And I think it's okay, and I think learning how to just say no is really, especially for a girl, it's like one of those things where sometimes you just gotta draw a line and just say you don't want to do it. But I also think there's absolutely no harm in having some fun. Like we are as much as people love coming to shows, like imagine being that person where you spend your whole fucking week preparing. Like, how are you going to make all these people move? How are you going to share this music that you love? And I think like one of your other guests said, like, don't trust a DJ that doesn't dance. Same thing. Like, and so I think it's it just depends. I think it's a balance. It's a balance. Yeah.
No, I agree. Sometimes I have some breaks, like for a month, just like, girl, you're gonna stop. I think right now I'm in this mood because like lighting in the bottle and this San Francisco show, I'm like, no. I'm gonna stop a little bit, like relief, because it's a lot. But I agree with you, about the balance and stuff like that. When you are playing 5 days in a week, okay, we understand we are not drinking, but still, from where like you find this passion, fire, because you're playing at the same place, not like for the same people, different people, I'm pretty sure, but still, not to. Do you feel that this is a routine for you? Like, what do you feel? How you find this like passion and fire to?
I think with anything, when you do something that often, you have to come to terms with that it's not always going to be perfect. And there's going to be nights that you suck. There's going to be nights where the crowd sucks. There's going to be nights where the person you're opening for sucks. And I think it's just something you have to learn to deal with. I think it took me a while to learn to deal with that. I think the hardest is when, you know, it's not like 5 nights of the week are the exact same show and they're as big and they attract as many people. It's not like that. Fridays and Saturdays, similar, but the rest of the day is not much. And so I think the hardest for me was learning how to deal with just like mentally the ups and down of, you know, on a Saturday, for example, playing to 2,000 people that are screaming and dancing till 3 a.m. Then the next morning you're playing a show at, you know, 8 p.m. till like midnight, and there's like maybe 200 people, and they're not really there for you, they're there for the show. And I think that was the hardest. And there are moments where sometimes I almost feel like embarrassed is not the right word, but almost just so out of place behind the like in when I'm playing. But and that's rare, to be fair, but I think in those moments is where you just realize, like, as long as I just realize that it's usually, I feel like that way when I'm not playing the music that I really want to be playing. I'm just playing what I think people kind of want to hear, or what they expect. In those moments, I'm just like, Zuzy, shut the fuck up. Like, just play what you want to play. And I think in that moment, I don't give a shit if there's 5 people in the room. I don't care if there's 10. I think in that moment is when you suddenly like almost feel like you're like, okay, I got it back. And this is what I want to do. But, you know, yeah, when you play that often, it's a lot of ups and downs, and you have to kind of adapt to it.
Okay, and when you feel that you are down, or like people are not dancing, or maybe you cannot catch the right vibe, how are you talking to yourself? Like, how you find this moment to put on the right road again?
Look, I think you have to come to terms with sometimes you're not going to get on that right road, because sometimes it's not the right crowd for you. And I think, you know, I have these conversations with the people that I work with at the club where, you know, a lot of my job is adapting, but I think there also comes a time where you have to kind of draw a line and be like, this is outside of my comfort zone. If you want a DJ that does that, go find yourself a DJ that does that. Because, for example, I don't really play hip hop. I'll sample some things and I'll play a little bit, but like, you know, sometimes some event wanted to hire me and they're just like, yeah, we want country. And I'm like, I'm not doing fuck. I can name you like 2 artists. Like, that's not my thing. And like, you know, I think
Poland.
Literally, I'm like, you know, I mean, I can play some Polish music, but you're not gonna like it. So I think it's just, yeah, you have to kind of draw a line, but at the same time, I think there's so many people that are so afraid to play other genres and like get out of that comfort zone. I think it's stupid. There's like the stigma in the industry where like you have to play one sound, or like you should stick to one genre. I think it's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
I'm more about to stick in your mood and vibe. Like, who are you as a person? And like, I like to play bass music sometimes in my sets. So usually, of course, it's like tech house and house, but I like to bring like some electronica or like 100%. Bass or whatever is that. Yeah, if it fits the mood and vibe and the crowd right now,
absolutely,
I love it. You have to experiment, because
you have to experiment. And I think your biggest skill set as a DJ is actually reading that crowd, finding that balance between reading, because your job ultimately is to maintain and develop a vibe on the dance floor, which is really hard to do. It's a really hard skill set to do. It's really easy to play bangers and play hits and, you know, kind of hook people in like that. It's funny because actually I think when I started going out in New York to so many shows, and I just kind of find myself thinking, be like, damn, I don't like really know most of these songs. Like, what is this? Like, I want to sing, I want to dance, whatever. And then the more I start going out, the more I start diving into the world of just like electronic music, and, you know, how many genres there are and subgenres of those genres, you actually realize, like, damn, like, there's just so much research that you got to do. There's so much history in music. There's so many records out there. And now I'm in the opposite situation where, like, people will tell me, like, we need hits, we need you to play hits.
Yes,
and I'm like,
that's so interesting. You went from New York, where is the underground music, house music, like born and stuff like that, to Vegas when the people need just bangers, just like came to like bachelors and just like have drinks 24/7 and just like dance.
We get a lot of bachelor parties. Oh my god, so many.
So what the music you play in Vegas right now?
Mainly disco, disco house.
But disco that the people know, right?
Yeah,
Not
like but sometimes a little no. I think the beauty of disco is that most people, you know, if you know it, you know it.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're probably like, oh, you know, maybe I know this record, maybe I don't. But you actually start realizing, like, oh, this is sampled in like a modern record. Oh, you know what? Oh, this is. But I think disco it's all about groove, and I think it's really easy it's an easy genre to adapt to and kind of start, you know, in learning and enjoying it when you maybe don't know it when you first walk in the room. But it depends. Like when we have Jason Derulo, that's all pop, EDM, like EDM house. So if you have any like interesting stories, what maybe some horrible situations happened to you in the club, if you remember something touched you, bothered you, or whatever. Well, like in Vegas or like generally
Vegas, or in general.
Well, I've had some fucked up stories, but I think I think there's a few. One, I think there's one that's related to team, one that's related to just like performance and booking, and the other is like respect of your own artist. I think the team aspect, I've had situations where I've had someone that's really involved and really, really keen on developing me at a time where I really needed it, and my world like flipped upside down within like the span of 24 hours.
Oh wow.
And it was one of those things where, you know, you felt so like, you kind of felt like you finally found that person. And I think finding the right team is really, really important. And that was a tough time for me. But I think the most fucked up thing is, I remember when I was in New York and I was up for a gig at Brooklyn Mirage.
You played the Brooklyn Mirage?
I was up for one.
Ah.
And at some point they get back to, at that point, my manager, and they're like, oh, you know, well, she doesn't really have enough streams. Like, we kind of want to do this. At that point, I had like maybe 15,000 Spotify listeners. And like, but I had like 3 million streams on SoundCloud. Because that's how I started.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, what do they mean? Like, it's not even a direct support slot. Like, it's just one of the slots. And they're just like, yeah, it's just not enough. And I'm like, oh, fine. When the lineup comes out, I look who took that spot, and it was somebody who doesn't even have a fucking Spotify. And a dude, of course. And it is like,
And it did.
well, you know, and like in that moment, you're just like, I wish it wasn't that reason, but like, well, then why? Why? Like, I think sometimes I wish artists were given a little more explanation, because it'd only be more beneficial to you and like how you want to maybe pitch yourself next time, how you want to talk to people a little differently. But yeah, that was a situation where I was like, I just don't get it. Like, this makes no sense to me.
Do you feel that the people or clubs like talking to you in some specific way because of you are beautiful, that you're a blondie girl, you're Eastern European? Do you feel that the people or clubs sometimes like acting to you in this special way?
Oh, for sure. I think it's very easily detectable when someone's genuinely wanting to work with you and like genuinely respects who you are. I think, you know, when you look a certain way, I'm sure you've had it.
I just cut my hair. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, I love it.
I'm just I don't want people consider me as a boy.
No, it's badass.
Whatever.
I love it. But you know what? That's interesting. Like, I think, you know, when you look at me as a DJ, I think so many people would probably look and be like, oh, influencer, or like something like that.
Even if
And
you're
I'm like,
influencer, I mean, like, yeah. Okay.
Fine, right? Fine. But like, I don't have a problem with that. But I have a problem
But
with you
you're
thinking
not-
I
yeah,
am,
yeah,
because
yeah,
that's
yeah.
not who I am. Like, I have a degree in music. Like, I've been doing this for a really long time. I have a completely different approach to it. I have such a deep respect for it. And I've worked way too hard for people to just like dismiss you purely because of what you look like. But, you know, it's a reality of this
Do you
world.
feel that you have to prove sometimes that
Oh, yeah.
you're
But
more than just a
but I love proving people wrong.
Just like,
There's nothing better than proving someone wrong in a good way. You know, in a kill them with kindness kind of way. But sometimes you got to do that.
no,
I really do.
No, it's interesting. That's why I started this podcast, because it's so interesting. Like, Instagram doesn't show a lot who are you as a person.
No.
And at the podcast you can like talk to the people and see what in their mind, like what the way did they have, and
Yeah.
how hard was
100%.
like,
I mean, it's why I texted her. For what it's worth.
yes.
I fully texted you.
And
So I'm like,
honestly,
holy shit, there's a chick doing this. Like,
I really appreciate that you really push, because sometimes I'm like lost as a all artist. I stop answering her.
I know my manager Lisa was
she
just like,
hates me.
I don't think she's like replying. I'm like,
I
give her a
feel-
second. People are busy.
I feel embarrassing, but yeah, sometimes, you know, like this thing when you're just like, I have to answer, and just like put it back somewhere. And as far you're not doing it, is like more chances that you never do that.
We're
And
just
when
busy.
you texting me, I'm like, bro, like, let's go. Yeah, and it's one of more that I mentioned of your personality, that you're, if you wanted something, you're like pushing it, and it's cool. It's from like your childhood, or like this type of character that you like.
I think it's I
fighting.
definitely get a lot of it from my parents.
Yeah.
I think one of it's just being I have three sisters.
Are you a fighter?
I'm a fighter, yeah. I have two sisters, raised by, you know, a very strong dad who embraced having 3 girls, but also raised us as if we were sometimes little boys. You know, very I grew up watching sports, professional sports for a long time, and I think that kind of builds like a really big resilience in you.
Yeah.
I think having a very loving and supporting father will do that to you, but I think it's something that also just comes with life. I think I've sadly been disappointed by a lot of people. I think learning, you know, I think for a long time when I was growing up as a kid, my mom would always tell me, and I would always argue with her. I'm like, it's not true. She'd be like, you know, you're just too gullible, like too naive, too nice, which is true. I mean, for the longest time, I was like, it took me so long to learn how to say no, how to break off a relationship or break off a friendship, how to move on. And I think the worst is when, you know, there's moments where you really feel like you didn't deserve something and you just kind of have to like keep going. And I think as sad as it is, I think that especially in the DJ world, I actually just don't think it's ready yet for people, girls like us, that are, you know, like when you look, you have a specific image from, you know, a lot of people. I think, you know, a lot of women watching this probably won't feel that, or maybe will feel that way, maybe won't feel that way. I think to each their own, but I do think there is a stigma where, you know, you have to look a specific way. And I think the industry is just not ready for just like that pop star, you know, rock star female DJ. I mean, there's so many incredible female DJs, so many. But I think for me, when I first joined, you know, I do have a little bit of, I'm not like super feminine, but I think there is a part of me that loves to be feminine and loves to look good and, you know, loves to do certain things. And I think it's, you know, you look at some, especially in like the techno world, it's hard to relate. It's hard for me sometimes to relate to certain women. It's like, how do you find your own spot without making it feel like, you know, you're just pretty and that's why you do what you do.
Yes.
And how do you actually prove it with talent, but also embrace who you are and be proud of the fact that you are a woman? You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a difficult thing to explain, but I think we'll see a lot of change in the space in a few years.
When I was in Lighting at a Bottle, and some of my friends, he told me, oh, you know what? I know the person who told me that he's like very questionable why like the people took one more girl to open Solomon. Like why? And they were like questioning about that. And
what?
Look, why not?
Like,
I'm like,
one more.
I'm not so bad.
What
like,
the?
you know, like yes. And no, last time sometimes I'm thinking that the clubs and promoters, they're giving more scenes for the girls.
They definitely
that time. Like I feel that.
They definitely are. I think it's getting better. And I think there's, it's just one of those things where you have to, you know, hopefully there's going to be girls that look up at us.
Yeah.
And we get to open those doors. Just like Nicole Motivator has done for us. Just how Sarah Landry's doing right now. Charlotte DeVitt. Like exactly what all those girls are doing. Nervo opened up. They like broke those gates. There was two girls. Two blonde girls.
And I love that they are like the all female DJs are supporting each other. I really appreciate for that. Not like all, but like I have just a good experience with all the female DJs.
Me too.
And I appreciate for that we are like
always.
I don't know, playing tracks of each other.
Super supportive.
No, it's pretty cool.
Have you ever had situations where like I don't know, you were either a guy, you were coming up following a guy or maybe going after, and they either like didn't really want to give up the decks or like wanted to like join B2B. I've had someone as I'm playing, literally like a dude. Oh, I swear to God, I thought I was gonna like comes up to me. I'm playing, and literally like there's a whole build up. I'm doing my thing, and this guy just like reaches his fucking hand onto the decks and like filters something for me. I remember just like stepping away and looking and be like, I'm sorry, is it your set? Like, I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? Like, what the yeah, I've had situations like that.
No, I didn't have any situations that someone did it for me, but
that was once though. That was once, but I don't think I've ever seen that person again. It's like,
just
I don't ever want to see your face. But
what is your next move when you will? I know that you are playing right now in Las Vegas, but do you have something in your mind that you would love to play? Go something in Europe or
play? Or
yes,
like the
to
next
play,
step?
to play, to have like maybe next residency or dream club or dream festival. What's in your
there's
to-do
a
list?
few. DreamWorks is one. Drum Sheds. Oh my God, I just said DreamWorks.
DreamWorks. Feel
DreamWorks
me?
is the film company.
Why not?
Drum
We can
Sheds.
write
I was
the
thinking
music
of
for
Printworks.
DreamWorks.
I was thinking of Printworks, but now they changed their name to Drum Sheds. Drum Sheds is definitely a venue that I would love to do. I think Ibiza is one of just those places
I
where
dream to go to Ibiza.
Yeah, I just want to, you know what? It's not even about playing shows. I definitely want to play shows. I think I want to play more global shows. I think Asia is such an untouched market for DJs.
Yes.
Latin America is touched, but like it could be even more so. Europe, I mean, there's just so many places to play. And I think I'm at a point where all I want to do is make people dance. and play what I want to play. But I think most importantly is focus on actually on making music
So your last track is everywhere,
Mhm.
and I like it so much. Like your music video that
Thank
you did
you.
with you. Is it your friend, right?
Yeah.
She's from
Mhm. She's the
Poland as well.
vocalist. No, she's from Turkey.
Oh, from Turkey.
Mhm.
Wow. So cool. And I really like when I'm listening your stuff, I see the style. I see the vibe. Like
Thank
this
you.
how right to say in English? Sanitizers, like from 80s. Like
Synthesizers.
Sorry.
Synthesizers. Yeah.
Synthesizers, yeah, from
Synthesizers, yeah.
80s. And I see this sound and this vocal. I would consider like future disco dance.
Yeah, that's what
Something
you will call. I'm like, I think.
yes.
I'm trying to create a genre. I think that's the coolest place of when you're trying to make your own sound. I think the coolest way is just make your own like genre, and we like to call it future disco.
No, I really listen as a future disco and dance. So just
I also think it's due like that kind of music is due for a return because everything comes in waves. Like we had our tech house phase. Now it's more techno. Is at its peak.
How's look like the whole process of making the track, like from the you said that you need the inspiration, so how it comes from the start to the end?
I have a weird relationship with making music. I feel like for so long I was so afraid of it, like just didn't think I was good enough, or just like it just felt like so much work. I think the biggest realization that changed my whole mindset was that like you need to realize what you're good at and what you're not good at.
And what do you do when you realize that you're good at something and you're not good? You put more effort to which side?
The things that I'm good at.
Good.
And then you outsource what you're not good at. And I think there was such a shame for so long, not maybe shame, sorry, that's the right word, but such a unwillingness for people to admit that maybe they're not that good. I'll use me as an example. I love to arrange. I love to write melodies. I love to come up with chord progressions. I love to structure. I love to write. I'm a decent producer, but I am, I think to be a really good producer, you need to be a little nerdy. Like you need to really love it. You need to dive deep into all these different plugins, what they do. You need to understand engineering. You need to understand sonic frequencies. Like you need to understand all of that. And I think a good producer, is able to do on different genres, which is its own skill. And for me, I'm not a very fast producer. And so I started making music more often. I realized when I had found my two managers I've been friends with for a very long time, they were like, here's someone, like you need to meet this person because they are a wizard at what they do. I mean, this guy will finish a track in an hour, like less. And it's like a dubstep track. I mean, I don't know if you know, like dubstep producers, respect to those guys because like to make that kind of music is insane. Like the ability you need to know, like technically, crazy.
Yes.
I mean, they don't even get near enough like appreciation for what they do. And so he and I, when he first told me, I was like, a dubstep producer in my music, like I don't know. And this guy shocked me, and like I suddenly saw this song that I had in my head, but I just kind of listened to it, and every time I listen back to it, I'm like, it's missing this, it's missing that, it's not the right place. And suddenly I handed it off to this person, and we ended up having a super collaborative relationship. And he helped me, and he was just so much better at things that I was just not good at. And I think realizing that is so important because you're not going to be able to do anything alone in this, like anywhere,
for
but
sure.
especially
I think
in this
the
industry.
team is the most important thing, like to be
Super
surrounded, to
important.
find a good. Do you have a good team, like your management team?
Yeah,
do you have a management team right now?
Yeah, I have two. Their names are Jared and Elisa. They're gonna love this.
Elisa, I'm sorry. She did great.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, we have known them for very long. I've known Jared for a very long time, and I've known her for a while as well. All three of us went to NYU, and
They live in Vegas, or
no, they're in New York.
Oh, in New York.
They're in New York, yeah. And actually, Jared got me my first job ever after I got sick, and I was also going through a breakup. Just like right before the pandemic, he got me my first job at his company, which was like marketing for electronic artists, actually.
Yes.
And so I was just like working with a lot of DJs and musicians, and then I realized like that's how I got into all of that was through him, and then now he's my manager. So
do you want to have like some like a tour through like from country to country, like with your name?
Definitely.
You have a good stream too. I think you deserve it. You are able to do that.
I think it's I think for Vegas was a little bit of like a step to the side where I had to sacrifice, and am sacrificing a lot that I maybe could have prioritized, but I like to look at it as like a boot camp. I don't think.
Can we? I mean, DJs make a good money in Vegas if you like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I have
I
to
think,
move.
but you know what? I think it. My residency is different because it's not really a nightclub, right? So it's just like a very different
Yeah.
experience than what I'm usually used to, or what I was used to. And it's one of those things where now it's like, I've been doing this and I've played so much. My DJ skills have never been better, but how do I take this to the next level? Because I think playing the same place for that forever, you're not going to go anywhere. Like you're not going to grow. And I want to be able to grow and travel and play sets around the world.
No, it's good that you have ability to travel. That you travel by itself. You travel so many countries, right? You're like studying like there, working there, and I think also that the traveling built you as a strong person as well.
For sure. I think
Because
it's like the best education anyone can have.
100%, because
Yeah.
new people, new culture, new languages, everything
Yeah.
is like
And your ability
different.
to empathize. Like I think as a humanity, I think that's like one of those qualities where I feel like so many people just lack is empathy. Like feel what other people are feeling.
I know that you're like young for this question, but still, do you ever think about like how you're gonna build a family, how you're gonna have a kids?
Yeah,
in the
definitely. I mean,
future?
I've been doing long distance for 4 years now.
Relationship. I never dating was like long, it's not for me. I need physically to have
It's
person
really hard.
around me. It's
Yeah.
hard.
I mean, I've only
Where does
really
he
done
live?
that.
In Poland?
He's in Barcelona and London. And so it was like for a long time, it was I've kind of all I really knew were those kinds of relationships, just because I've been moving a lot. But I think when you meet your person, you just kind of it's worth it. Thankfully, we're both in the stages of our lives where like he's building an app and I'm doing this, and he's also a little older, so kind of just like at a different stage in life and is able to understand that this is just something that I need to do. But I think like when we were talking earlier, I think there's a moment where you realize like to be an artist, you need to live life. Like you need to be able to find that inspiration, and I think just to be generally just happy, like you need to be able to see your friends. And I don't know, I love to dive. I miss diving. Like where the hell do I go diving in Vegas?
I've
No,
never
like,
tried
Really?
diving in Vegas. That's
like
a
Las
little bit
Vegas.
difficult.
Yeah, I love diving. Oh, it's just so. Have you done it?
No, never. But I would
Oh my
love
God.
to.
It's it's just so peaceful, because you're in dead silence underwater around all these things that you're like somehow familiar with, but you don't really understand they exist, right? Until you actually get
Yes.
down there. And I think the coolest part is you can just hear your breathing, and that for me is just like strangely therapeutic, because not only do you feel breathing, but like think about it, when you breathe right now, right? Like you don't see any air, you don't
Yes.
feel, there's no like actual exhilaration. When you're underwater, you're ejecting all these air bubbles,
Yeah.
and so you're like actually pushing that oxygen out and in and out, and it's the most like rehabilitating feeling. I don't know how to describe it. It's
So I love
You gotta
water.
do it.
I'm water person as well. I love I can do like surfing, and I just like I was swimming with a how called these big things like that,
like boogie boards.
no, yeah, how
Oh, mantis.
yeah.
Oh, manta rays.
Yeah, manta rays, yes.
Yeah,
But
manta
it's
rays.
not diving. We just like watching
Yeah,
them.
they're beautiful,
But
though.
it was so cool.
Mhm.
It's a different world.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to. I used to ski a lot, and I think like either it's skiing or diving or any kind of
Yeah.
sport, like you're just. It's so good to sometimes just completely remove yourself from society and from anything, and just like remember. I'm a very like existential person.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I like to like question why we're all here and what we're doing here, and like why this is
my
all.
mission.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's just so easy to get caught up in everything that's going on, and what people are doing and what you're supposed to do and what you want to do and what's the right thing to do, and
You always thinking, because it's always in my head as
Oh,
well.
constantly.
This, like
constantly,
big questions
Over and
about the
over.
life.
over and over. And I mean, anxiety also is a thing. Like I will sometimes have the best set of my life, and I'll come home and I'll be like, oh, that was terrible, or like I'll wake up and I'm like, that was terrible, and and then you kind of start thinking, it's like, where does that come from? Why do you feel that way? And I think sometimes for me, it's just a matter of like just getting away from it and understanding why you do, like, why do you, like, for example, like what about music is your, like, what connects you so much to it?
What
Why
do you
did you
think
start?
is your mission as an artist? Like
My mission as an
yeah.
artist?
I mean, yeah, it sounds very like big,
Well,
but
no.
still, what are you gonna?
It's a good
what do you want
question.
to bring, or what do you want to maybe like?
Community?
What the message?
Community.
Mhm.
I think because I grew up moving around so much and just, without really like a group of friends for a long time and constantly leaving people behind, that music was like just like that one thing that was constant throughout all of those changes. And that's why my name is Planet Zuzy, because when I was thinking of like what the hell to name myself, I knew I wanted to be my name, because I just I didn't feel like being anyone else. Like, it's still me. But I wanted it to be something so much bigger than me. And so when I came up with Planet Zuzy, I was like, I need to create a genre and shows that is just so uniquely its own, but it's able to live in all these different contexts. So whether it's a club, whether it's a day club, whether it's a festival, whether it's a freaking wedding, like whatever it is, it's able to like live in these kinds of contexts. And I mean, I think when I start playing my own shows around the world, I really want to have this thing where I drop a ton of balloons, and in these balloons there's like certain like things, and there's only a few, but people get to, like, let's say they pop the balloon and they'll have like a golden ticket to a show, or a backstage pass, or like something like that. And then, let's imagine if we have like a Discord community, and then all these people get to talk, being like, oh, I found it at the New York show, or oh, I found it at the Philly show, or I found it at the Madrid show, whatever it was. And just like find ways to connect people, do it through music, do it through shows, but also, represent, I think, something so much bigger than just being somebody behind the decks. It's a lot of words.
It's very interesting. How is your roots, like your Poland roots, influence you as an artist?
A lot. I think it's a good question. I think it's what
your open heart, I think, that you're open for the new
definitely.
adventure, because
Yeah.
I see in you that you always want to get something new, you want to learn, you want to like
Yeah.
express yourself through the diving, through the like this, but you still, what do you want? You like
Yeah.
very like,
Yeah.
your
I think
passion.
I'm a very emotional person. Like, I take things, I'm that kind of person that can like watch a movie, and let's say someone like loses their mom, I will tear up within 30 minutes, because like my body just somehow really, I don't understand how, but it just does. And like, that's just my way with coping with it. And I think my mom would always say, like, artists are just like very sensitive people. Very sensitive people. And I think, learning how to balance that is really important. But for my roots, it's what makes me, kind of grounds me. All 4 of my grandparents are still here. And for every summer, I would usually spend down south in Poland, where things are very different. It's a very different kind of lifestyle. It's very simple. It's most definitely not as, like luxurious and bougie, for the lack of a better word. And I think being a part of that and going back there often, where you are just an average person and around your family, where it's just nature and animals, and everyone really has to work hard for what they do. And even though it looks like it's a simple thing to do, it's not. It takes a lot of hard work. I think that always like instilled this just kind of like, where you're from, what you do. And I think it instills this, like, you have to just believe in yourself. As like crazy it seems, but like you really do.
It's easy to say to believe in yourself, but you have to.
You
You
really
have
have
to
to.
realize, who are you, what do you like,
You really
and
have
it's the
to.
most. Yeah, sometimes when I have some like thought that I don't have enough money, or I don't have a house where to live, or all these like stupid like things that sometimes happening with you in your life, but I'm like, the most like wonderful thing that I have, it just realization that I know like who am I today. Maybe tomorrow like I will change my mind, but for today I know what do I want, I know what I want from tomorrow. And I think like when you know your way, where are you going, all other things will come.
Yeah, they will.
People like and other
People
things
as well.
but,
I think, I don't know if you had this situation, but you kind of realize where, finding the right people in your life it takes time. It takes a lot of time to find the people that like genuinely care for you.
I've
really want the best for
got
you.
one new friend. Her name is Lupa. We just did one podcast with her as well, and she's from Colombia. And she's such a I don't know, maybe like I feel related with her because of the culture or whatever, but she's like a really like true friend. And I see like if she's your friend, she's just doing everything for you, she's just like taking care of you and stuff like that. And I mean, it's so important. Even it's not our country, we're not like born here, like our parents are far away, we don't have like our close friends here, and it's so important to find the people who are like can support you and be with you in the difficult moments. Do you have a good friends here for now in Vegas or in US?
I have a few really good friends in Vegas that I met spontaneously. I probably can owe it all to just one. shout out to Ryan and to Neuro. I don't know if you've tried NeuroGum, but NeuroGum is absolutely amazing. It's like energetic gum. It's so good. And I met him my first day there, and he's kind of been really took me under his wing. But I think other than that, not in Vegas. Like, I think that's the tough part is, when you're working, my schedule is so different. Like, my weekends are Mondays and Tuesdays, and that's usually when there's weekends for most people that work in entertainment in Vegas. So nobody's really out and about. No one's really doing anything. And I think, after you get into a rhythm of sometimes playing these shows, Saturday or Sunday comes and like all you want to do is go home and crash. The last thing you want to do is go to another club.
But do you have a moment in Vegas when you can go with your friends or someone?
Yeah, sometimes, like mostly lunch but no, like, yeah, no, I don't have that like casual, I guess just like leisure time where you can just kind of like maybe
time
barbecue.
For that, or you have people?
I do both, honestly. Like,
bro,
both.
Come to LA.
I know. But to be fair, I really don't like LA. The traffic is one thing.
I know, but for me, like, it's so important for me to have a people.
No, it's so important, and I think that's what's like driven me the most crazy in Vegas is not having that, especially since I do have that. But back in Europe and in New York, I mean, I was in New York a week ago, just for literally a day, and I remember walking down the street in front of my apartment, and I just started crying.
I love New York. A lot of my friends moved to New York,
New York
this year, and
it's such a special city. There's truly unlike a city like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so unique.
So cool.
Yeah.
If someone watching right now and they want to like be a DJ and artist, or they want to start their career, what you can give like a few advices? Yes.
I think don't be afraid to try different things. I thought I wanted to be a singer, then I thought I wanted to be a producer, then I thought I was going to be in business, and then I thought I was going to run a brand, and then I was a DJ. I think it's so, it's easy to kind of get shoved down and be like, you need to do this, you need to do that. But I think like you and I were talking about, like, I don't just want to be a DJ. I want to have a brand. I want to open a club one day. Like, I want to have my own beach club. I'm dying to have a beach club. I really want to have a beach club.
I would love to come.
I want a venue with like different genres, different music. I think it's, keep your mind open and think about what it is that you want and what do you really want to do with it. Because if you're in it, like, people say this all the time, but if you're in it for the money or the fame or anything like that, it's not going to work. And people know that by now. But I think if you want to be a DJ, practice is one thing. Going to shows is another. But I think listening to music, like really listening. And I don't mean like scroll through Spotify and like skip or like go to playlists, like go to a record store, get a bunch of records, get a book. One of the coolest parts of this whole residency in Vegas is I got to work with somebody called Jellybean Benitez, who's an iconic producer. Produced so many Madonna hits, Whitney Houston hits, Fleetwood Mac hits. I mean, he was one of the main residents of Studio 54 too, and Paradise Garage, and like, he's he's like what, late 50s, early 60s, and he was playing the first few weeks when we opened, and and I remember when I first saw him, I was like, oh my god! Like when I saw him play, I was like, this is nuts! Like, what? I want to do that, and I approached him and I started to develop a relationship with him, and his, having a mentor like that has been so important. And I think, so if you're trying to be a DJ, like go out to these shows, try and meet these artists, but don't approach in a way where like you want a photo or you want this. It's like really ask them deep questions. And I think you'd be surprised how many people actually want to help other artists.
I'm always surprised at how many people are helping.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people, there's a handful of people from New York when they first started coming to like my early shows. And to this day, they still like message me, and now they're DJs. And I'm like, this is so cool. It's so cool. And I think a lot of people are, intimidated by competition and kind of diminish. I think so many people, especially DJs, older DJs, some, not all, but can get really intimidated when, a younger, maybe more, not, depends what you define success as, but maybe more successful or, just so modern like motivated and fresh. I think it's, people are going to try to bring you down a lot. And you just gotta, a lot of it sucks, let's be real. Like a lot of working in the industry a lot of it sucks. A lot of it's not fun. But you gotta love it. Like, as much as I sometimes hate it all, as soon as I get behind the decks, it's like everything just goes away.
And we just remember the good things.
Yeah.
And good people.
The good people.
Yeah, I want to say that I've never met you before we like meet right now. And as I said, the Instagram is not like the Instagram cannot show who we are in real life, of course. And you in real life, I see that you are really, really like deep person. You're not just, as we said, like blondie girl from Poland. You are, but it's so much more behind that.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that you came here, and I would love to came to Vegas one time, to
Yeah,
come
you
to
gotta.
Vegas and go to your show, because I feel that you have a lot of interesting emotions that you can give to the people who come to your show. And I listen to your stuff, and I really see you in your music, and I wanted you to wish to have a tour because of you, because of your music,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you deserve it. Like, you
Big
such a
time.
hard worker.
Thank
And yeah,
you. Oh my god.
yeah.
You're
No,
so
really,
nice.
really. No, it's just my honest opinion, because
Thank you.
yeah, I never met you, but I see
I
that
know, I'm this psycho just pulled up from Vegas. Hello.
she's like, I want to go.
Crashed on this very comfortable couch.
Yeah. We're gonna stay here, Alex. Yeah.
No,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much.
Honestly, it's been
Thank
so
you for
great. Like, as soon as I saw your episodes, I remember hitting up my team and I was like, you need to get me on this. Like, I need to talk to this girl. I need to talk to this girl who's also Eastern European, who's also grinding, and who's just so. I mean, I see your energy at shows, and it's like just infectious. It's so infectious.
No, I'm happy that you came, and I'm sorry all this team. I'm a little bit disappeared, but this is shows that if you want something, like when you're like pushing,
Sometimes you gotta. I think,
have
look, artist to
to.
artist, it's also, easier to connect. Like, so you get to a point where you're like, last thing you want to do is deal with the
for
team.
sure.
And like, I
For
think
sure.
it's important to sometimes, as an artist, show. I hope that that's something, like, even when I'm big, known, whatever. It's like that one thing that you will always do, and just like be kind and remember that sometimes it's more than just, you're not just a business.
Yeah, 100%. Connections is the best. You have to
Mhm.
build these connections. Check the last release of Zuzy, the Everywhere.
Yeah. Next one's
So
in
really
June.
good. Next one in June.
Uh-huh.
Which label or
Independent,
Mhm.
but with a distribution deal with Too Lost.
Okay.
And
What the name of
it's
the-
called What If It All Blows Up. It's like about literally like staying under. It's about staying, idea of you staying underwater and hiding from everything that goes on in the world.
Oh wow.
And just like, I think there's so much crap that goes on in the world right now. It's a really strange time to be alive. And it's one of those things where the lyrics are like
Mhm.
questioning life, but then the instrumental is all around a saxophone.
Oh wow.
And it's just like an explosion of, I think, happiness. So
Can't wait to listen it.
yeah.
Can't wait to listen. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you
You're
so
the
much
best.
for having me.